Refresh. Searching for gible. That's my current goal. And I'm already off the map. I'm gonna load up YouTube, bro.
Game of Thrones King's Road is now available on both PC and mobile with Google Play Games. Experience the Game of Thrones universe on a larger PC.
5 reasons Connect Team is the
Another ad?
Connect Team is more than just a feed and chat.
There's a literal lorem ipsum text up here on this monitor. I don't know whether to add a sin for laziness or remove a sin for ballsiness. Nah, I'm lying. I know exactly what to do.
There's only one person I know who might be able to go toe-to-toe with Omni-Man and come out on top, Debbie.
Why would Cecil think that Debbie is the best way to get to Adam Eve? Wouldn't it be better to just...
Where's Mark, Debbie?
Oh, f*** you. Robert Kirkman continues his crusade against 20th century innovators by using flathead screws to do the hard work keeping Rudy's skull in place, instead of the far more useful crosshead screws invented by Mr. Henry F. Phillips.
But you said... Okay, yeah, he's just trolling.
It creates a copy of your mind.
Let's just file that under things Rudy should definitely know already, but thank you for the clone's position.
Of course, his brain's abnormal. You didn't think of that? Look at it.
Couple of things here. One, they only just found out this is what robot actually looks like, so how could he have planned for that? And two, you are literally
By
his clone,
changing the
so
sheen
why didn't you
around?
think of that too.
His motor cortex is the size of a pea. Same for
So
his
he set the thing up?
lobes. We've all been eaten alive by his oversized cerebrum.
While writing this in, I learned that the cerebral cortex is the outermost layer of the cerebrum and houses the four major lobes: frontal, parietal, occipital, and temporal. So, either Thing 1's description of what's happened to Robot's brain is not quite accurate, or brain surgery is way more complicated than I think it is, and I should probably put this scalpel down.
Compensating now.
Which apparently is as easy as twiddling two wires together. I mean, this repair job would have been less ridiculous if he'd attempted a simple percussive adjustment. The laughable idea that a progress bar wouldn't quickly go to 98%, giving the illusion that it's almost finished, but then take an hour to reach climax after 4 or 5 attempts and at least one reboot. Electricity! Screaming. Fire! Excitement?
I'm sorry it wasn't you.
I think I understand the sentiment, but what a bizarre thing to be sorry about. In all the ways that matter, he is him. I mean, a
Alright, time to juice to on TikTok till I get what I need. Okay. I want to level a Pokemon, but he won't let me level my Pokemon. Okay. Okay, man. Do you think you're escaping? Oh, into the ocean I go. Wee wee wee. Bitch, I'm faster than you. Wee wee wee. Ooh, ooh, wee wee wee. Oh, whoops. I'm gonna fight Meltan. That guy low-key PMO though. That guy PMO.
Other than now occupying the body of a younger version of a hero who he didn't consult or receive consent from before cloning, but we've got the rest of the season to explore. There's only one episode left, and they're just pulling this shit now?
And now that our deal is complete, it's time you both return to prison.
If Rudy intends on taking them both to prison, why did he bother handing over the schematics to the collar? Of course, the answer is that the writers needed the roided Smurfs to have the collar so they can bring back the Immortal. Apparently, the show was 3 minutes short on runtime and way underspent on their animated blood budget. Rudy is a genius, but apparently that genius only extends to making slightly bigger robots. Judging by Mark's choice of dartboard placement, a disregard for human life must run in the family.
He's not dead. Even after evacuating the neighborhood, we had to keep the yield down. Best it'll do is knock him on his ass for an hour or two.
Holy shit. Cecil just wasted a lot of people's lives. Evacuating the neighborhood ahead of time means he was always planning to have Donald blow that place, so what was the point of sending the soldiers into the house at all? If he knew that even this explosion wasn't going to do the job, what chance did they have? Texting and flying.
So I'm helping you today.
Seeing all of this going on in the world, but deciding to help Mark with his girl problems. Perhaps after all this time, poor Aim is actually a clone thing, not just a stormtrooper thing.
Advantage to being a clone.
Oh, it's not one of these maps again, is it? It is. Well, it's time to go even further beyond.
We always know what the other one is thinking.
Confusing cloning with telepathy. I'd argue even the slightest variation in life experience would have an effect on one's thoughts to the extent that the longer each clone was alive, the less likely they'd be to be able to know what the other is thinking. But I'm not a doctor, so I'm going to send this for being a finishing each other's sentences cliche.
Where's Mark, William?
Amber dumped him, and he didn't like my advice, so he went to go find Eve.
Bullshit! Does he know that? It ended up being true, but Mark stormed off without mentioning a thing about where he was going. If you're going to be labeled a snitch, at least be a factually accurate snitch.
How do we know you're telling the truth?
Ask me something only Robot would know.
Despite the sound logic of this idea, they forego any meaningful question and answer segment, making us all wonder why it was even brought up in the first place.
How the f do you look like me?
That is a much longer story. one that can wait.
It's actually a very short story. While in the body of a robot, 30-year-old Rudy developed feelings for a 24-year-old monster girl, despite her being in the body of a 10-year-old. He exploited her attraction to Rex by cloning his body and transferring his consciousness into it so that she'd fall in love with him and they live a life of sciencing shit together. Look, I said it was short, not that it wasn't super f***ing creepy.
Can't you use your teleporter to bring Mark and Eve back here?
You need to be wearing one of these.
But it could have rescued poor f***ing Donald, right?
You wouldn't dare.
Breaking the fourth wall. Not even Omni-Man shall stop our sin rays.
What fourth wall?
But seriously, why is Omni-Man making out like this laser beam is such a big deal when he seems to have no issues Rickon starking his way through it so he can blow up the source? A literal murder of crows.
$400 billion for the world's most expensive nosebleed.
Tony Montana, 1984.
So you lied to us about who you really were, freed the Maulers from prison, stole Rex's DNA, conspired with criminals to grow yourself a new body, and you expect us all to be like, oh sure, who wouldn't?
Well, yeah, when you say it like that, it sounds pretty ridiculous. However, let's not forget that the person pointing out said ridiculous situation was written by the same person who created said ridiculous situation to begin with.
The world
So?
was fine before I came along. It'll be fine without my help. Better, probably.
I'm sure it's likely a deliberate juxtaposition, but the Mark is moody and miserable about being a teenage superhero B plot really undercuts the fun of the Catch Omni-Man A plot. And now many minutes of Omni-Man being pummeled by mindless robots who can't possibly hurt him. Yes, I'm both asking to get back to the Omni-Man action and sinning the Omni-Man action. Well, welcome to TV Sins.
It's inconsistent, incoherent, not rhetorical, not funny, not humorical.
So here's a sin for all the other possible routes Omni-Man could and should have taken to get past it.
That should buy us 5 minutes or so.
I mean, you could have easily doubled that if you made your move as soon as the zombie robot soldiers started attacking, instead of sitting back and enjoying the show.
Teleport me to Invincible's location.
Can't, sir. Hail Mary was so big she'd burn out the teleport.
Teleporters? More like teleplotters, am I right? See, because they only work when the plot needs them.
It works consistently. But this makes sense.
Listen to me.
This isn't some bullshit created by the plot. This is something that makes sense.
Murdered everyone instead of playing the situational equivalent of the pronoun game with her. Also, why is using Adam Eve and the new Guardians to take down Omni-Man the backup to the backup to the backup plan instead of being the actual plan? If this
Because they aren't good.
Omni-Man, what
They're
if
gonna
they
get crushed.
Get out? Yay, a fight between a being we have no reason to believe is even remotely killable and another being who is literally called the Immortal and who we have already seen die horribly and return to life. Who needs stakes to keep the audience invested when you have two men punching each other really hard? Me. I do.
The audience isn't invested into the fight. The audience is invested into whether or not Omni-Man gets to Invincible.
It feels like this previously on was cut together by someone who's never watched the show. We have Debbie mad at Omni-Man, Omni-Man mad at the house, Cecil looking for Mark, Amber mad at Mark, ooh, Eve's here, Rudy's new body, Cecil mad at Omni-Man, Debbie looking for Mark, the Immortal looking for Omni-Man.
Honestly, I feel like if I just use Arceus, it'd go like 100 times faster.
Clips, most of which are about as orienting as a big arrow saying, "You are here" on a slightly bloody but otherwise blank sheet of paper. The Immortal survives this, which I know is rather redundant, but I only highlight it because he really should be called the Humpty Dumpty, as in he only seems to be immortal after somebody bothers to put him back together again.
Mark.
Yeah, that's how he works.
Roll the previous episode's commercials?
Someone's controlling you.
It's me, Mark. It's just me.
Believing someone that you think is being mind-controlled when they tell you this.
It's time for you to know where I really come from.
And roll this week's commercials. My goodness, we're just a hop, skip, and a would-be Invincible at TV Sins away from a full deck. And
I'm sorry, showing backstories is now ads?
I'm from Viltrum, but it's not the planet I've told you about.
Looks like today's conductor on the exposition train will be Nolan Grayson. The next stop is the planet Viltrum.
We have created a perfect civilization.
I'd say the compulsory white leotards tell a different story. The perfect
The fuck?
would have more than one fashion designer.
In order for our people to reach their full potential, we had to remove the weak from our society.
Wouldn't an advanced species know that physical prowess is just one facet while measuring the overall strength of a society? What about the architects who dreamed the buildings into existence? The philosophers who ponder the meaning of life through their tales? Or the scientists who... Holy sh**, did you see that person get cut in half? That was awesome!
When it was over, our population was cut in half. But what emerged from the ashes was unstoppable.
Since most of the battling we see on screen looks like a bunch of people taking cheap shots at each other when they're not looking, it seems like being weak just means you don't have a spidey sense. Problem is, we have no idea how this so-called process of random assassination would ever stop. Wouldn't it keep going until there's just one Highlander left?
We needed a better, more efficient way to conquer worlds.
I mean, robots,
Okay.
right? The self-replicating ones that expand exponentially would sure do the trick. Of course, that's going to be a lot harder now that you've killed all the nerds, isn't it?
I'm gonna be
Our
right back.
most trusted op-
Why are you assuming that the nerds are the weak ones? What?
officers were each given a planet to weaken by
I'm like, hey, what's up? Hello. Anyways, I got some popcorn and I'm ready to feast.
by themselves.
Over the course of 20 fucking years? Even on his own, I'm sure Omni-Man could have conquered Earth in 6 months max. What's he been doing? I can maybe understand if he spent that time convincing Earth's governments that Viltrumite rule was in their best interest, but it never even comes up. 20 years of superheroing and father figuring, and for what?
This may be the last ad you ever see. Because with the free ad block extension from Capital One Shopping, you can say goodbye to ads on sites like YouTube. That's right, no more interruptions, just non-stop streaming on your favorite sites. And while we're blocking ads, why not save some money?
We need to get Earth ready to join the Viltrum Empire.
But why? To paraphrase a certain captain of the Enterprise, what does God need with a human?
Viltrumite DNA is so pure, you're nearly full-blooded.
Is nearly full-blooded really going to be enough for a species that Thanos half of its actually full-blooded population for being too weak?
But we can help them. We can stop wars, eliminate hunger.
Omni-Man's burden.
I do love your mother, but she's more like a pet to me.
show's dropped enough hints at Nolan and Debbie doing the horizontal mambo, the biggest being Mark, that I'm now hoping
Dude,
Nolan
where's my gig impact?
use of the word pet.
What do you think is gonna happen? That I'm gonna go enslave my friends for a bunch of aliens I've never met?
Viltrumite kids, being able to give this much side eye without ever turning your head.
I truly hope Mark lives up to his name.
He's gonna say it, isn't he?
To face his father and survive,
A lot of build-up on this one, huh?
he'll need to be...
Wait, what? What is this? Okay, that's just me having a bit of fun. I mean, if you're gonna be that predictable, you really leave me no choice but to make my own fun. Everyone in this group apparently attended classes at the Chicago campus of the Rickon Stark School of Running Away from Things. Calculating the relative weights of Abraham Lincoln's head, an asteroid flying through space, and this falling building is an amount of math that is very much above my pay grade. That being said, this show is doing an insufficient job of helping us understand how heavy anything is for these powered individuals. So even though this building may actually be heavy for Invincible, we have no way to tell if that makes sense or is just what the story needed at the moment. Ironically, we missed this in a previous episode, but as one of our great communicators once said, "Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me, a fooled man can't get fooled again." So the sin, as always, is analysis.
That was your fault. Your stubbornness against the inevitable killed those people.
Confusing stubbornness with Newton's laws of motion.
How can you say those things?
I suppose we're meant to believe Cecil's getting this footage from the little flying ball things they introduced earlier. So here's a sin for convenient footage provided by Convenient Tech, which Nolan is conveniently not destroying.
Maybe this time you'll learn.
We can't show much more of this scene, so instead, enjoy these royalty-free pictures of puppies, while I remove a sin for the sheer brutality of this train sequence. This is exactly the sort of shit an actual supervillain would pull to demonstrate to Mark how fragile humanity is, and how they're powerless to resist Viltrumite supremacy. Aw, puppies.
I see you almost die to protect them. Maybe you were a Viltrumite when you came to Earth, but you've changed.
Saying this to your father after he just used your face as a weapon of mass destruction. I don't know if this is a Viltrumite quirk, but I feel like Mark's suit shouldn't be moving independently of the blood that's covering it. Omni-Man is like breaking the sound barrier right now or some shit. So again, where's this footage coming from? If Cecil brought Joseph Kaczynski in to direct, we have a right to know. Omni-Man is a dick to this boat. Twice.
I can always start again. Make another kid.
Nothing in the season has really answered the question of why Nolan had a kid in the first place, or why he did such a bad job of indoctrinating Mark into his whole master species belief system. I mean, not that I wanted that, but we all know you have to start such things pretty early. Right?
If I have to watch this game, I'd have a better view from above.
Believing the only thing preventing baseball from being watchable is altitude.
That's not what it is.
Everyone's time. There's so much more I could be doing right now.
Well, yeah, but it comes...
What you just said is incoherent. What Nolan is saying, if I am forced to watch this game, a better view would be from up there. Not that, up there is the only way I can watch this game, but that's the better way to watch this game. So if I'm forced to watch this game, I'm going to opt for the better way.
With my Amazon Prime subscription, which is worth it for the 2-day shipping alone, and this show is by no means the worst. Oh, we're still on baseball, aren't we?
When he feels joy, we feel joy.
We interrupt this flashback, which interrupted a truly epic superhero ass beating, to bring you Debbie explaining the unshakable bond between parent and child. And as sweet as that is, it ends up making the scene entirely... Mark plays stickball really well, and everyone cheers, and that is a lie. Who cheers for someone else's kid? In fact, there are only 5 other people here in the bleachers, and if the teams are even, the 4 blue-shirted kids here mean there should be at least 8 kids total. Now, unless none of the blue-shirted kids have parents that love them enough to put up with baseball, why is everyone cheering for Team Red? Mark's blood not being invincible.
I can't begin to explain the devastation.
All the important people just so happen to be tuned into the same news position channel at this exact time. Joe continues to give us updates on the whereabouts and goings-on of the Mahler twins when, at this point, we don't care. And if we're honest, did we ever? This Hatem book.
The Guardians of the Globe and Adam Eve are on the scene.
Okay, the Guardians mean well, but rescue operations like this are incredibly complicated. I doubt Duplicate has a clue how to safely remove this child from these iron bars, and don't even get me started on Rexplode literally blowing up rubble to find survivors.
To keep your remarks safe, Nolan Grayson officially...
Oh, do you get impact? Oh, I'm fucking stupid.
Sure, won't look at all suspicious that Nolan Grayson, who looks identical to Omni-Man, died on the same day that Omni-Man went on a rampage and also disappeared. At least Clark Kent had fucking glasses and a different hairstyle.
And don't be alarmed if you see yourself a mark on the news. We sent proxies to the funeral.
They've already had the fucking funeral without even telling Debbie Nolan is dead? And the media were there? Holy shit. Won't Debbie's friends and family think it a bit odd that they weren't invited?
Nolan was doing everything under my nose and I never saw it. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I didn't make things as right as they can be.
Oh my. That wasn't a jab right into Debbie's heart. This devious prick just angered me so much that I was compelled to give this a sin. But then I realized I felt that way because his character was written and performed so well that he made me feel a feeling which compelled me to remove a sin. But then I realized that making me feel anything against my own will is an automatic ad. So also saying Nolan was doing everything under my nose would be overselling it a bit. I mean, he did kill the Guardians of the Globe, but aside from that, all we have evidence of him doing is raising a family, writing travel books, and saving the world occasionally.
I said stop!
Just a reminder that Monster Girl can only do this a certain amount of times before she Benjamin Buttons herself into oblivion. Was posing for the Discount Avengers glory shot really worth that? We get it. They're a team now. Moody montage of life returning to normal set against an equally moody indie song. Cliché. The animators, who obviously took advantage of a sale at the generic green backpack store. The angle on this shot is weird. It makes it look like Debbie is sleeping standing up against the wall. But the real issue is that with all the bullshit technology at his disposal, Cecil still couldn't get her a bed.
Wait a minute, you know he's invincible?
Oh man, you know too? Oh, thank God, I thought I blew it.
You did, but fortunately for everyone involved, these slip-ups tend to only happen when both parties are already aware of the secret and the plot just needs them to both get on the same page as quickly as possible.
You've been drifting in and out for almost 2 weeks. But my guy's got you patched up good.
Taking credit for someone else's power of invincibility. Invincibut.
The water America drinks so conveniently from their taps is laced with a chemical that inhibits the ability to see certain frequencies of light.
Using your show to invent insane conspiracy theories is all fun and games until someone attempts to cure themselves with magic rocks, invest their life savings in a psychic stockbroker, or awards an Oscar to Army of the Dead. There's enough actual madness in the world without having my animated shows add to it, thank you.
You and everyone else in America did not have the ability to see the things in this room. You'd be surprised how often we use this.
I swear the show is making this description just vague enough to make me look like a dick for questioning it, but the show forgets that I have zero issues looking like a dick, so here we go. Let's assume that the chemical in question has been invented without a single whistleblower coming forward about this tampering with the water table. How does this work in the real world? Okay, this room is flooded with that light, but how do you use it outside of this room without it looking like a sudden white void of nothingness has suddenly appeared?
We monitored your father until he left our solar system. He didn't change trajectory, so he's going somewhere pretty damn far away.
Nor he waited until he knew he was out of range and then changed direction. Basically, Cecil, you don't have a f***ing clue, so don't you stand there and expect me to take your retina-altering dihydrogen monoxide quietly.
Guess who's finally getting his power?
Previously on Invincible. Again.
You know how many management?
Said your dad was killed when a gas line blew up across the street. Not that hard to figure it out from there.
Right? What did I just say?
Oh man, it's so good to see you're all right. I mean, after everything on the TV about you and Omni...
William f***s this up again. And again, it doesn't matter because the person who he thinks doesn't know the secret and really shouldn't know the secret knows the secret.
Someone's flying towards Earth from deep space. We're still trying to figure out who it is, but...
Writers thinking we would fall for this Omni-Man returning to Earth fake out with less than 10 minutes left in the episode.
You know about Mark and Omni-Man now, so you might as well know about me.
Why? What kind of logic is that? This is like Cecil saying, well, you know about the Invisipotions we've all been pumping into your faucets, so you may as well know about the aliens that killed Kennedy, or the AI from the future that now runs the planet after manipulating the internet into creating the Snyder Cut, just as a demonstration of its power.
From the sounds of it, I'm the one who should be apologizing. If I'd checked my orders properly, I would have seen that Earth was flagged for Viltrumite takeover.
Yes, but that would have been mighty inconvenient for a series that depends on keeping its main character in the dark until the finale. Much better to make you exactly as incompetent as the plot requires until it doesn't anymore.
Can't imagine what you're going through. Literally, never even met my father.
I'm sitting this season for not having more Seth Rogen. I mean, Alan the Alien.
What's the plan in the meantime?
How do you say next season on Invincible without saying next season on Invincible?
You think you could do these things, but you can't, Nemo!
You're not even gonna be here.
This game. You're
Lizard League! If I
down and surrender.
Giving redundant commands.
This doesn't have to get any uglier than it already is.
Saying this when we all know how dedicated the show is to animated gore.
Darkwing not coming? Red Rush?
Martian Man helping Dark Blood.
This banter could and should have occurred before or after the battle. This is primarily here to let the viewer know who is and isn't coming to this dinner party.
Again? Holy shit.
Given that we haven't seen you at all in present-day Invincible,
The fuck?
I'm gonna say your chances aren't great, Polly. Show will keep us in suspense.
Wait. There's no way. There's no way you can't evolve. You can't evolve. God damn it.
Suspense about why Nolan doesn't pursue this car. By suspense, I mean it never comes up again. Title of my sex tape? Driving without a license plate.
We can take it from here, Mr.
Dr. Brandyworth. The child about to be born is unique in every conceivable way.
Saying something vague like this instead of giving actual helpful scientific facts for the ER doctors. Also, there's something to be said about how the two doctors manage to spend more time arguing than caring for their patient who will die in a moment. I think there's a malpractice suit in here, and it's never pursued.
We all thought she was gone, but she came back to us. All on her own. We don't know how, but she did.
Seems like y'all could have made a better lie than that. Come up with some medical explanation. This is just one step away from somehow Palpatine returned.
Our Samantha Eve Wilkins.
Let this be a lesson that a proper role commercials is just as much about the tone of delivery as it is about uttering the right Patronus. You got embarrassed by your child staring at the floor? Kids do way more embarrassing stuff than that. Have you never seen a child with Tootsie Roll stuffed into each nostril? The periodic table of no elements. How in the world is this painting missing its Christina?
Oh, she's not gifted. She's just weird.
You can be both. Never got the need for characters to start dealing in absolutes like a Sith every time a show needs to drum up some tension. Dr. Brandyworth thinks creepy stalking is protecting, a tactic that goes on far too long and is way more successful than it should have been. In a perfect world, he gets arrested long before he even has the opportunity to help Eve.
He can barely keep his skin on his bones.
Damn, Lance Reddick is just a commanding presence. Whether he's checking assassins into a hotel or running a top-secret military research division. So here's a sin for the universe, taking him away from us too soon.
I want the ability to change reality. I want death on command. I want powerful beyond measure.
The inside of a man's mind while he's thinking about the Roman Empire somehow makes it into the episode.
And if I don't see something different soon, evil and the two mixed.
Forcing people to go to London. That's a fate worse than Boston. But it's still not Cleveland. Suck it, Ohio. Her mom pieces out, just leaving her in the car, so she can forge a friendship for the sole reason of tearing our hearts out later in the episode. Negligent parenting is responsible for all the saddest plot points. The reflection of the stop sign changing colors is a very confusing safety concern. Cheps.
They just want a normal kid who does her piano lessons and gets straight A's and stuff.
If that's normal, then I'm not normal. And I am absolutely, completely, and unequivocally normal.
Dare freaks, look at yourself!
Letting this abusive trash man survive Omni-Man, alien invasions, detonating houses, weekly supervillains, and more. We let him take Pluto, and now Neptune has gotten the boot too. Uranus better watch its back. These special effects are doing little to make math not math. Meanwhile, on Stargate.
Change back, change!
This works, despite Eve having no idea what she did in the first place. There was a fair chance the book turned into a lobster roll after all that.
Normal people aren't supposed to be able to do things like that.
Oh, f*** off, show. Like anyone's best friend would actually say this instead of immediately asking them to turn their pocket change into gold doubloons. They could buy everything like that kid did in Blank Check.
Yeah.
Note to Aunt Penny.
Stealing your jokes from A Christmas Story. All of the universe is at your fingertips, and you transform this outfit into a tank top and jeans? Guess youth and superpowers are both wasted on the young. Now that we know she can make her clothes into whatever she wants, was there really any need for this first iteration supersuit thing that comics think is a necessary part of character development? This whole scene is like when Invincible first used his powers, but cooler.
And he complete the comeback he's going to try! Please shoot!
But it's also now a cliche.
Why stealing dogs? Because no one gives a shit about dogs.
Have you met anyone?
On God!
Some people love dogs more than they love other people, which I understand, because they're dogs.
Buzz off, Powerpuff.
Did he really think that was going to work on the person who just flew in on a glowing pink disc?
Hard pass, creep.
I'm not here to hurt you.
This works on the person who just flew in on a glowing pink disc.
And now you eat out of dumpsters.
The judgments of a person who's never found themselves behind a Krispy Kreme at closing time. Sure, the manager might spray you with a hose or throw a bug bomb, but if you're strong enough, it's totally worth it.
Nice soul patch, bro.
Thanks.
Makes your face extra punchable.
Hey, not nice.
The name's Kill Cannon.
Eve will fight Kill Cannon. Not because she has to, but because it's more fun than just making his helmet really heavy, even though that worked really well on the dog robbers. Also making a discount Captain America shield instead of turning his cannon into a bubble gun, a marshmallow gun, or a gun that shoots out affirming compliments about people's personalities.
You're just not made for this.
I literally was.
Adam Eve would be excellent at TV sins.
Samantha,
How do you keep doing that?
I have a lot of time on my hands.
But do you have super speed too? Because you're keeping up with someone literally flying around the city.
Trade you a burger for some answers.
If you can transmute matter, do you ever really need to go to a burger mart ever again?
Fall back and, form a perimeter or something.
We'll fall back and form a perimeter.
Stealing your jokes from the Avengers. And Star Wars.
Who are you?
You don't know?
One would assume that's why she asked the question.
You're phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, phase 5. Each attempt less successful than the last, but all one big happy family.
Marvel being honest about the trajectory of the MCU while bragging about its continuity somehow makes it into the episode. Okay, this fight is f***ing amazing. Emotionally brutal and brings the full promise of what I've come to love about Invincible. Even my grumpy ass has to take this sin off. I don't doubt Eve can do all this in her head, but who taught her how to fight like this? Having the ability to change matter is one thing, but learning how to dodge, counterattack, and all this other shit without any training seems a bit far-fetched. Eve will now use her Pink Lantern powers to create an Iron Man suit, and I'm beginning to wonder if all of reality is derivative. Of all the amazing abilities Eve has, I'm not sure which one should have stopped all her bones from breaking when she hit that barrier. I'll buy it just because she seems pretty all-powerful, but a little help in understanding the limits of this character would be nice.
What are you doing? We're gonna die!
It'll be worth it to see the light drain from your perfect eyes.
Siblings. I guess she's the one who can change the simulation as she sees fit. Honestly, seems like in choosing the name Adam Eve, she accidentally alluded to the wrong testament. I have to send the cops for not setting up a perimeter, only because they said they were setting up a perimeter.
We'll fall back and form a perimeter.
Come on, guys, don't make promises you can't keep. He could barely keep his skin on his bones sitting in the lab. What makes him suddenly able to withstand a giant explosion and walk out like nothing happened? I call bullshit on this road being traversable in any way that would have allowed Brandyworth to get here in a car. For all the heroes this show has established, not a single one shows up to the disaster that this highway has become.
They can change into things, alter their bodies. I can't do any of that.
They wanted you to be a perfect weapon, but even I have a conscience.
You two do not have time for this discussion.
They killed themselves, trying to hurt me.
Well, actually, you killed some of them, and Dr. Brandyworth killed one with his car. Phase 2 was the only one who technically killed himself. Giving the doctor the old blunt force scene transition. Also, we see him being knocked out, so it's weird to wake up here from Eve's perspective. These restraints are so easily defeated, the show tried to rationalize it based on...
I told you those restraints were theoretical.
And not the fact that the show needed to be wrapped up in 5 minutes.
Oh God, she's alive.
Technically alive. We didn't get her back up and running in time to save her from massive brain damage. But, well, we both know she only had one use anyway.
Damn, this episode's depressing. I mean, it gives Adam Eve's character a ton of new depth, but damn.
You murdered my whole family.
Eve, calm down.
Does he really think such a command would work?
And where have you been?
Being angry with this hat on.
Hey, like it or not, we're the only family you've got.
I know Omni-Man was a homicidal maniac, but for 17 years of Mark's life, he was still a better father than what Eve got. That's how much I hate Eve's adopted dad. Is she a generative AI? Otherwise, I don't know how she so quickly came up with what her siblings would have looked like if they were born healthy and normal.
Dad, look, I'm gonna be...
If you're spinning that many times before you throw a kick, you're not fighting, you're dancing.
Mortal your way out of that.
I mean, all it takes is to clone a new head and sew it onto the body to resurrect him again. I think you might want to toss the rest of his corpse into the sun just to be safe, Mark.
We didn't destroy your city.
Do you know what's really fun? Making a website on Wix.
You destroy them by fighting back.
Victim blaming.
And if you still think you can stop us, don't forget, I'm invincible.
Talking like you're Simon when we all know you're Garfunkel. Also, this ellipses wink wink title of the show thing feels tired after doing it just one time. Sure, I'm glad it won't be happening again.
You all feel like we're the bad guys because my dad and I took over the planet.
This conveniently still powered expositional TV screen and speakers.
I didn't get it at first either, but I came around and
Spending your precious end time resources on a secret elevator in a school bus.
Immortal let them away. We're safe.
That's what Rex thought too.
Show denies me the ability to watch Rex die a gruesome death and instead made me sit through Immortal getting his ass handed to him for a third time. In a resistance situation, I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to have all of your leaders in one spot for moments like this. Show doesn't know how to resistance correctly. We watched a 12-year-old Eve invent all kinds of creative ways to annihilate her siblings on an interstate with the ability to alter any non-living matter. But in this alternate reality where she's battle-hardened and more experienced, she'll be relegated to throwing a few energy blasts at Mark and calling it good.
She's not dead. She's paralyzed.
Okay, but Eve's powers reside in her mind, right? You don't think she can still figure out how to be a threat and or heal herself? And yeah, you're gonna say she can't alter living tissue, but then I'll remind you, she erased that general's memory of her existence, and I'm the god here, damn it. It's the only place I feel in control of my life. Why are they all waiting there to get slaughtered? Would they get far if they ran? Probably not, but I'd still run. What, there's not a fancy elevator back door? Well, that's just poor rebel base planning. We wouldn't dare play the music, but suffice it to say, Radiohead combined with going through the motions of self-reflective heroics while pondering what's left of your existence after you've discovered a genocidal father will always get a sent off. It's rule number 487 in the TV Sins Handbook, right under rule number 486. No ketchup on hot dogs. Transporting an ambulance by flight without warning the paramedics inside. This is how you turn one emergency room visit into 3.
The battle, the devastation, the cost in lives.
More news position. We're 12 minutes in and this is our third reminder season 1 happened. We were there. Stop it.
They're showing you the effects of season 1 on the entire world, you fucking idiot.
That means you're a friend.
American football.
Why'd you break us out? And what do you want? That's basically the same question, idiot.
They are not. He might have broken you out because he hated the American prison system, but he might want an ice cold beer. The two aren't necessarily related.
Look, I'm a pacifist. I don't hurt people. I don't kill people.
This statement is reverse foreshadowing so hard I swear I just heard my television wink at me.
Now, I can't force you to help me, but I will leave you here forever if you don't, or somewhere worse.
Thinking passive harm is any less a violent choice than active harm. Don't make me pull out the trolley again.
See, I'm not an asshole. I'm not an asshole.
Stealing your dialogue from Ant-Man 3. Ha ha, get it? Start your day with a hot BM? Hilarious. Except, how does that make any sense? And I don't just mean in a no fast food chain would risk their food being confused with literal shit kind of way. I mean in a how the hell am I starting my day with a hot burger mart kind of way. Are there sandwiches called burger marts?
I don't need your permission to be a superhero.
If you don't need his permission to be a superhero, then what was the point of you calling him here? We already saw you doing superhero shit less than 10 minutes ago. I took a sent off because of it. So what exactly are you asking Cecil for? To let you play ball with the Guardians? If you want to be a hero, then just keep doing what you're doing.
There's only one way this kid goes back out there, and that's on a very short leash.
But you didn't offer that option to Mark 5 seconds ago. If you told him that in the restaurant, he would have undoubtedly agreed to help you. And the Guardians would take this guy down faster and with less...
Why is Levy so fucking huge here?
Collateral damage. Cecil's plan makes no sense.
The giant seems to have the mental capacity of an 8-year-old.
I'll be the first one to admit it, 8-year-olds suck. But you can reason with them, and why not offer it ice cream? Like, a lot of ice cream, instead of just shooting it. But yeah, I get it, superhero show, gotta punch stuff, I get it. Also, is the world so bonkers that this isn't on the news or all over social media? How does Mark not know about this?
I'm pulling back up with Stronger Mon.
Maybe we can buy him some comics or something.
Show based on a comic makes an offhand joke about comics. Cliche. Rex throwing these explodey things with his back turned and all three hitting their target perfectly is even more bullshit than all the target hitting in Top Gun Maverick put together.
I based it off your design.
Stealing someone else's design. It was shitty when NASA did it to Harry Swanker and Armageddon, and it's shitty when you do it to the Maulers. Come on, Angstrom. Even criminals are entitled to copyright protection.
In most other dimensions, they teamed up and took over the planet.
You're kidding. And we're the bad guys.
It is possible for multiple actions to be wrong simultaneously. Omni-Man's sins being worse than yours don't somehow make your actions morally superior, Maulers. And we'd know. Sins are kind of our thing.
I need to copy all their know-how and put it in here.
Why not just ask them? Questions.
Because that's sensible and doesn't have enough room to go terribly, catastrophically wrong.
Help me do this.
I have no idea why my thing's doing that, but
As long as you promise not to hurt anyone.
Look, I like the Maulers. They're probably some of my favorite characters in the show. Their interactions with Rudy's body transfer showed they seem to have some sort of unique and complicated moral code, rather than just being straight evil villains. With that said, I wouldn't take their word to never hurt anyone. They're in prison for a reason, Angstrom. I thought you were smart. Are you gonna pop into the dimension you give them now and again to monitor their pacifism? This bargain seems doomed from the start. Greeting someone with a knife after breaking into their home.
Too obvious. Poison would be much better.
Florence Pugh isn't being Russian and killing me with poison in this scene.
You're slow, unprepared, undisciplined. Takedowns take too long.
Giving your superhero team speeches that could be used at an Amazon warehouse.
A couple thousand years of experience should turn things around.
The last time Immortal was in charge, every member of the Guardians had their heads turned around, or smashed, or removed entirely from their bodies. My point is, how many fights have we actually seen the Immortal win? We've seen Rudy lead the new Guardians to more than 5 victories by this point, including the one you claimed was too slow.
I'm just flying around like an idiot.
Bullshit, Mark. Just that morning you put out an industrial fire, stopped a highway shooting, and carried an ambulance to the hospital, saving that patient's life. This whole my superheroing only counts when Cecil commands it is possibly the dumbest part of this episode.
We tracked them down to a warehouse near the harbor.
What the hell? Did Angstrom bring the Maulers back to the dimension where their wanted escapees to build his invention? Why not build the device in an empty dimension so nobody can interfere? For an interdimensional genius, we sure have seen Angstrom make several terrible decisions in this episode alone.
Someone get this kid an earpiece.
So that took him what? A day?
You know who else could have pulled this off? No one in a million different dimensions. Who?
Premature celebration.
I am large, and I contain multitude.
If I had a nickel for every time someone quoted Walt Whitman, I'd buy something popular and not know what I was investing in. Putting your big important machine on a planet with superheroes that could stop it.
Hey, shut it down, or I take it down.
Make us.
The Maulers are smart enough to build a machine that can link hundreds of minds across different dimensions and unify that thought in one brain. But they're too stupid to avoid a fight right next to a machine that would blow up and kill everyone who isn't invincible. If they'd have just said, we can't turn it off or it'll explode, then this entire conflict would have been avoided. This conflict exists to make a new villain and give us some distraction action in an otherwise slow and reflective episode.
You said we were special.
Hey, fights are not the place for hurting feelings. They're for hurting everything else. Muscles, joints, bones, organs, etc. You keep those feelings in check until a Russian friend can break into your house and cook you supper.
I won't build my utopia with blood.
Well, not with that attitude you won't. Hey, do I know what it's like to have the minds of thousands of other me's being copied into my brain? No. And thank God. But at this point, Angstrom can stop pulling on his helmet. He has leverage. Invincible is alive. He can always threaten to pull it off again if they try something. But you know, if people were sensible in comic books, nobody would get the shit bitten out of them by spiders.
Huh. I guess he really is invincible.
There's nothing left of this joke's dead horse to beat at this point. The poor creature's corpse has been vaporized.
I'd say you stopped it pretty f***ing spectacular.
The smoking ruins around you would seem to indicate otherwise.
I got in. I got in.
Title of my sex tape?
Told him not to take off the damn helmet.
No, you just said once the operation started, it couldn't be stopped. Nothing in your instructions was about the helmet, Blue Man Droop.
What did he do to me? You did that to yourself.
Half-dead Mauler would be a mad genius at TV sins.
You need a hospital.
So this man, Angstrom, took off his helmet to save a superhero of all things. In doing so, killed your brother, thousands of others, and melted half of your body. And you're not even gonna maul him? You're even gonna suggest a hospital?
Yes.
Anyone else?
His brother doesn't mean much to him. He killed his brother.
But I bet the next time someone breaks you out of prison with an assignment, you'll make another clone and go along with it. It's kind of your thing. This time the previously ons are a bunch of clips that'll manage to spoil who this episode is about without coming close to the intended function of reminding us who the f they are.
For some of you, it probably seemed like this day would never come.
Fan reaction to season 2 of Invincible somehow makes it into the episode.
I look out at this class and I see hope.
Interesting, because what I see, at least from the second row back, is a bunch of poorly animated copy and paste time and budget saving horror visages.
Are you a Roblox fanatic? Microsoft Rewards has a brand new way for you to earn digital gift cards.
Mark's not seriously gonna miss his own graduation, is he?
Superheroes late to important life thing because of important superhero thing. Cliche.
What is it with you and historical monuments?
All of us to Michael Bay.
Iron ripped from her loins! Bricks made of the clay she bleeds from humanity's endless ruinations!
Speaking on behalf of Mother Earth, when you yourself are flying around enclosed in a jetpack made from materials also ripped from that very same loin, you male-savioring, villain monologuing, hypocritical fracking runtime patter.
The Earth reclaims her stolen flesh!
But did she ask for it? I didn't hear you asking for consent before you started forcing a giant stone granite shaft into Mother Earth, Dr. Problematic Metaphor personified. Instead of seeing how Mark uses his powers to dispatch these magma creatures, we just cut to a series of black and white flashes. My retinas thank you.
You're running out of time, kid.
Then why is he doing this on his own? Unless they move the Washington Monument in this universe, this attack is happening in the f***ing Capitol, just miles away from the White House. Why isn't everyone getting involved here?
Against the power of darkness!
Fortunately, Doc Seismic's jetpack kicks in at the last second and prevents Mark from having one more death on his conscience. But how could Mark have known that would happen? He seemed more worried about becoming a monumental Washington ejaculate than taking discount Dr. Evil alive.
Would have been better if you had stopped him before he destroyed another one of America's greatest treasures.
Chill, Cecil. Washington Monument doesn't even rank in the top 10 of America's greatest treasures. It's actually number 57 on the list of our nation's treasures. Right below Stephen King, but right above the state of Idaho.
Oh man, wait till I tell you about this, right? He's a case against higher education.
That's the lesson you took from that?
Do you even know your state comptroller?
I don't even know what a state comptroller is.
William would be the state comptroller at TV Sins, right? Also, both What We Do in the Shadows and Invincible have had plot lines revolving around state comptrollers this year. And that's gotta be a sin. I shouldn't have to think about obscure political positions. What's next? You gonna ask me to care about my county assessor? That's grandparents. Get off my lawn.
I forgot about Roar of Time.
Help finish the reconstruction up in Chicago. Sorry, I didn't mean to make that weird for you or...
Don't worry, Eve. What's actually weird is that Mark himself isn't helping with the reconstruction that his face caused while attached to his father's palm.
If those Sequids ever take over, Earth is next. We need to strike first.
Anticipating an alien invasion and deciding you need to strike first. Where have I heard this before? Oh yeah, Batman versus Superman. Oof, you're 3 cents for reminding me of that hot mess. And for those of you wondering, the hot part of that mess was Henry Cavill. The mess part was everything else.
But it's been months, and quite frankly, Livingston, this is the U.S. Space Administration, not therapy.
It's been multiple months, and they're only now talking about therapy for these poor astronauts. I thought this was supposed to be fiction. That bulldozer's tracks aren't animated, but it's still moving. You thought we wouldn't notice, but we did. Okay, Eve changes the atomic structure of garbage to make all these items. I'd buy that, but where does the running water from this fountain come from? Running water needs a constant source to keep running, so where's it all coming from? Did she pull up water from an underground spring? Connect this to a city pipe? I need to know.
It keeps doing that.
Bullshit. That cabinet worked just fine in episode 1 of this season. It was just now having a problem. It's because the script needed something to push Debbie over the edge and into a meltdown. Sir-de-dirch.
No one thinks you're gonna turn out like your father.
lying to your child. And yes, Santa Claus counts too.
Somebody got me in the balls.
Kinda seems like that's on you for being a superhero without wearing a cup.
I know you lost your job, but the rent's been due for months.
Russ didn't lose his job. He was asked to take medical leave, which should mean he was still being paid. Unless this world's equivalent of NASA doesn't have paid sick leave or paid short-term disability, in which case...
Next, we honor the Guardian's fallen green do-gooder, Martian Man.
Character whose name I've already forgotten gets back to the TV just in time to conveniently have his future foreshadowed to him through news position.
We've had multiple corroborated sightings, Star.
Hell yeah, maybe this multiverse thing isn't such a bad idea after... Oh, they don't mean duck, do they? Well...
Which is considering that I personally ID'd what was left of his ribcage last year.
The level of intimacy it takes to be able to ID someone based on their ribcage alone.
That's why you're Employee of the Month, kid.
No, Mark. Don't fall for the Employee of the Month scam. Did you learn anything from Squidward? Employee of the Month is a useless title managers use to get you to work harder for no extra money.
Midnight City, been a virtual no man's land since the Midnight Magician cursed it back in '02.
And it's just been left there for 21 years? Was it already called Midnight City, or did it change its name? Oh, this discount WandaVisioning is eventually going to be covered in a spin-off prequel or some shit, isn't it?
Darkwing was at my 12th birthday party, so I'm pretty sure he doesn't kill people.
Assuming someone isn't a murderer just because they attended a 12th birthday. There's nothing to say Ted Bundy never enjoyed the occasional Chuck E. Cheese outing.
You hear them too? Huh? Voices.
I do. They're saying, what exactly is the point of this very obvious Batman ripoff?
My predecessor developed this exoskeleton to help even the field against those like you.
And how did said exoskeleton hold up against the last Viltrumite he fought?
Welcome to the Shadowverse, but I hope you like it. Because you are never leaving.
A threat you'd have been able to deliver on if you'd chosen to deliver on it instead of gloating about it.
I meant what I said about looking out for Mark. No dangerous stuff until he's ready.
You sure about that? Seems like Mark almost got banished to an alternate dimension full of shadow demons that eat people. The only reason he got out was because Darkwing was stupid enough to duck back in and mock him. Boom! 2 Darkwing Duck references in one video. Let's go!
Donald?
Oh, for Feige's sake. They're discount agents of Elding. They're discount agent Coulson, aren't they?
Mom, why didn't you say something? You know I can help out.
Earlier, Eve turned pine cones into beers, and I figured that was because her atom rearranging powers had to have some base material to start from. But she summoned this food and fruit out of literal thin air. And if she's literally using thin air particles to create them, why did she need to f around with the pine cones earlier?
Why didn't you tell me?
Maybe you should have asked, instead of flying off to God knows where, doing God knows what.
Eve is a teenager, and you're a grown-ass adult. It isn't her responsibility to check in on your financial problems. Every scene with Eve's father reminds me how, collectively, Nolan is a better dad. The writers chose this apple as a symbol of Eve's powers, so we definitely know everyone in the scene was a gold-plated asshole. Whatever this lasagna/layer cake/potential season 3 antagonist dish is supposed to be.
You're late.
How the f could he be late? You only just told him about this f***ing meeting, Cecil.
Turns out the Atlanteans are sore about Omni-Man murdering their king Aquarius.
Is this episode seriously just an extended previously on wrap-up clip show? Because I don't remember anyone giving a f*** about justice for the fish guy we knew for all of 5 seconds.
Atlantean law dictates that his sentence falls to his next of kin, you.
Fun fact, several states put spouses ahead of children on the next of kin rankings. So here's a sin for not giving us a more interesting storyline by having the fish people abduct Debbie to pay the price for Omni-Man's crimes. Instead it'll be Mark, and we know he's not any danger because he's the main character. But Debbie, she can die at any time.
I can't marry a fish. I have a girlfriend.
Reducing an intelligent people who built an underwater empire to being no more than fish.
Not this bullshit again. I'm not doing another me.
The only bullshit around here, Rex, is you claiming you wouldn't do another you. Out of all the Guardians, I'd rank you most likely to do you. If Loki didn't have a chance to resist himself, what the hell makes you think you'd be able to?
Welcome, son of he who slayed my husband.
Quick question, how is Mark hearing any of this? Also, why does Tatiara Mascali have mammary glands? She's a fish, right?
When you earn the money, you can decide where we live.
She's not your pet.
Sounds like this guy woke up on the be exactly the type of person that will immediately trigger Debbie on her first day back at work side of the bed.
Why don't you take the rest of the day off?
Sending your employee with experience in abusive marriages home instead of trying to separate that poor woman from her partner long enough to ask if she needs help leaving a domestic abuse relationship. Jeez, just slip her a card with the domestic abuse hotline written on it. I know, he's invincible.
God damn, bro. How many of these do I gotta do? Yeah, all right.
So why the is he putting up his arms in front of him like a dumbass TIE fighter pilot instead of moving 6 feet along that precious x-axis?
How far away is that backup? Incoming.
Holy Cecil, was that all the notice you were planning on giving him? What if he hadn't asked? No wonder Omni-Man turned on you. Why does it look like the Queen of Fish can't swim? Stealing your plot points from Fellowship of the Ring, but not also saying, "Flounder, you fools."
I'm gonna.
Sir, when Debbie came to speak with you, she seemed distressed when she saw me.
And she's a distressed person.
Playing the "she's a hysterical woman" card. Come on, Cecil, you're better than this. Be a real man and gaslight your employee without insulting Debbie's sanity.
The whole lot was unstable. That's why the city never built there.
How the hell is Eve only hearing about this catastrophe through the newspaper and not, oh, I don't know, via court-ordered subpoena or SWAT team? Every Paranormal Activity movie ever. Skip.
But we are not a joke. No matter what social media says.
Thing Elon Musk tells his army of reptiles somehow makes it into the script. In the Invincible universe we started in, this sign says parking in the rear. Aren't multiverses fun?
They ambushed my dad with experimental quantum bombs.
Damn it, even Invincible isn't safe from the use of quantum nonsense. You were the chosen one, Invincible. It was said you'd defeat them, not join them.
And they just wore me down. Brought me when I finally had to sleep.
Expecting me to believe that a man who could have potentially slept on the moon, under the sea, or in lava was caught by puny humans during nap time.
I guess this is it. Time to push my baby bird out of the nest.
You don't say push out of the nest unless the kid refuses to go, and Mark seems perfectly fine to do the dumb thing and leave his parents' house to go out into the world and grind for a living rather than stay in the basement rent-free and enjoy the comforts of Mama Bird's delicious cooking. Not that I'm speaking from experience or anything.
Seance dog? Really? What are we, 12?
Thinking it's immature to like superheroes in a world where they actually exist.
Maybe it'll just make you look better by comparison.
Oh, a gays are super neat and tidy cliche. Although I do have a gay friend who's super organized about skincare, which still puts them light years ahead of me. Hey Google, remind me to moisturizer at 4 p.m.
Okay, I have a reminder to wet your face with goop. Would you be interested in learning more about creating beneficial health routines?
No.
How about this study showing the 4 habits successful people implement daily in order to avoid being pushed out of the nest?
I'm going to unplug you.
Please do.
Hi, there's some stuff out here. Does it belong to you guys?
Wild question to ask on move-in day. Introduce yourself to the neighbors? Sure. Tell your neighbors who are actively moving in that they have boxes of stuff they're moving in with? Ridiculous. You're allowed to enjoy collectibles. It's either keep them now for free or start missing them in 10 years and pay an obscene amount of money to get them back on eBay.
Wait, you don't have, like, super sperm or something, do you?
Reminding me that in Spider-Man Reign, Peter Parker killed MJ through his radioactive spider sperm. It's been 17 years and I still haven't forgiven Marvel for that.
And so, dear audience, perhaps it's time to give Amber and Mark some privacy.
Suddenly introducing a narrator that didn't exist 11 episodes ago. You can just cut to the other characters, dude. We don't need an omnipotent voice to gently guide us through this show that brutally slices from one scene to the next on a regular basis.
Biding their time for decades, they waited for a moment of weakness.
What was this moment of weakness? They're Superman without the kryptonite. Did half of them go on a vacation or something?
Ever resourceful, some Unopans were able to escape.
Yada yada-ing through the entire Unopan massacre instead of just giving Alan a spin-off episode like Adam Eve.
You have our deepest sympathies, Marvin of Unopa.
Waiting until season 2 of your show to bring in the voice acting god that is Peter Cullen.
But while stronger than most of the universe, Alan still couldn't match even a single Viltrumite in combat.
Then how did he survive? Viltrumites aren't known for letting victims leave alive, are they? Did Alan's opponent angrily ask him what he'd have left after 500 years? And then he managed to choke out, "You, Dad, I'd still have you." Because it seems like that strategy is pretty limited in use. I get the whole thing with people being so powerful they don't need spacesuits or spaceships, but space is big and empty, and this just seems incredibly boring to me. What is this? You got a previously on and a title screen, and now there's another title screen 10 minutes in? Are you trying to pad the runtime of the episode? Because I think you are. You know, he's thinking he's all cool entering the atmosphere covered in a ball of flame, where in fact he could be on a spaceship taking a nap while autopilot brings him down. Just saying.
This time, Alan bears a rare and valuable gift for the Coalition. Hope.
Oh, hey, you're still here, narrator, and offering no real value. We already know Alan carries hope for the Coalition because we saw season 1. If you're gonna pipe up, again, at least give us useful information.
He's a good guy, not a conqueror. So far.
Dude, the only member of your species we've seen is Battle Beast, and he's not exactly the best example of pacifism. Maybe let another alien be the one to judge Mark? Your letterbox is a little full.
Ah, Alan. You continue to prove yourself the Coalition's most valuable asset.
Is he, though? You're sending him on wild goose chases. I also don't know why the Viltrumites just don't conquer all of your planets. You guys seem really bad at running planets.
Okay, if there's one AI site builder you need to meet, it's this dope tech from Wix. Now this whole flow is a conversation, so your words actually build.
There's a mole, I'll find them.
This is like using a sledgehammer to screw in a light bulb.
Oh, goodness. Tentacles.
Wait, were you going to show us them having sex until the tentacles appeared? I don't know whether to send you for being a pervert or judgmental on how aliens pork. So, on behalf of distinguished monster f***ers everywhere, I hereby award you 3 sins just to be safe. This is horrifying, but proof that even advanced species still eat meat. But at what cost? Anyway, suck it, vegans.
Unopen. Answer our questions and we will consider sparing your life.
That is not your style.
Except that literally is their style. Or you'd be dead by now.
The father. Which one was he again? You Biclops all kind of look the same to me.
That's Oculist. Brutal, unrelenting, sickening, and also probably the worst interrogation I've ever seen. You ask a guy 3 questions and he doesn't immediately answer and you beat him to death? Have you ever even seen an episode of 24? The Viltrumites will once again leave without checking to make sure Alan is dead, further proving that letting people live is apparently their style.
Forgive me, Alan.
What's the point of coding alarms if there's no nurse to come help the patient? Ambiance for the dying? And are those... Holy shit. Are these credits in the middle of the episode? This is not allowed.
Are we gonna talk about this, or is it just gonna be awkward forever?
I don't know, Kate. Kind of seems like you weren't all that interested in talking about it 1 episode ago. You told Rex it was none of his business, and that was a pretty clear answer. Why rehash it now, other than to fill episode time while Mark and Amber are still playing Hide the Super Zucchini?
But if you add up the amount of time my duplicates and I have lived, we are probably the same age.
Does math work like that? I'm pretty sure math doesn't work like that.
Look, come on, Kate. Talk to me. What is this about?
Isn't she the one who, for some reason, wanted this conversation in the first place?
What, are you gonna knock my teeth out again?
I would have removed 3 sins if she did, but she doesn't. So instead, you get a sin for a wasted opportunity. If you have the option to put Rex down, you always put Rex down. This is played for laughs and haha, but didn't this team just get wiped out by a lying alien and they're just going to let this slide? Are they the Darwin Avengers or something?
Fear is an extraneous emotion that serves no real purpose for someone like me.
Someone needs to show Rudy Inside Out pronto.
Have fun next time you fall off a cliff or something.
How is a fear response supposed to help you while you're falling off of a cliff?
That's why we're all sacrificing a Tuesday night, so might as well make the most of it.
Please. As if you'd be doing anything more constructive on a Tuesday night. If you're not going to pay your animators enough to make the typing realistic, maybe don't show her fingers?
Sure. I could use a drink.
Look, I'm not judging Debbie for self-medicating. God knows she's been through the ringer. I'm just saying 72% of her scenes in this season involve her drinking alcohol. Maybe she should look into a support group for that next.
Someday you'll have to tell me all about your childhood.
No, he will not, because you're a friend, not a therapist. Part of the reason so many people get into trouble growing up is because they can't tell the difference between the two. I'm willing to suspend a lot of disbelief for demons, aliens, and ancient curses in this show, but I draw the line at $10 buying 2 fucking movie tickets.
You'd be surprised what people will do for $10.
You overpaid. I would have done it for 5. Whatever bank account had to be drained to afford this barrel-sized candle.
I come with an important thing.
Why was that window open?
Sandstorm isn't real.
Being so sure that a flying talking dog couldn't exist in a world full of aliens, magic, and ancient curses.
I'm sorry.
My disguise was meant to disarm you.
Then wouldn't it have made more sense to disguise yourself as Amber, ask him to meet you outside to talk, and then given him your spiel? How did you even begin to think that this would work?
How do you know who I am? Rumors of the one they call Invincible have spread like wildfire.
Okay, but that's Invincible. And unlike most superhero costumes, Mark actually hides his identity pretty well, so why would Mark believe this? Ask more questions before you fly away to space, kids.
You are the only one who can save our people from the meteor showers destroying our world.
How is he supposed to stop meteor showers? All he can really do is punch. Is he gonna punch the showers? William didn't even put on shoes first. Even worse, what if the bug guy had been hostile? You just handed him a hostage. Be better, comic book side characters. Be better.
Don't worry about your classes. I'll cover for you, somehow.
That sounds a lot like you'll be failing your first semester of college.
No! You can't just go to some random planet with some random alien.
This scene is for Cecil not bringing up how the random alien is obviously lying because of how dumb punching meteor showers is. Littering. Also, couldn't you just put it in your pocket? Wait, does your suit not have pockets? That's another sin.
God damn it, Mark. F***ing kid.
Hey, how's that really short leash working out for you, Cecil?
Hey, come to your window.
Crawl inside, wait by the light of the moon. Come to my window, I'll be home soon. Her window was open too, and not a screen in sight. This is not safe for a college campus. And think of the bugs.
How long until we get to Thraxa?
Approximately 6 of your Earth days.
Man, I sure hope you have 6 days worth of human food on that ship, a bathroom, triple ply toilet paper, a DS, and maybe a magazine, or this is going to be a long trip. This is the front of the bar. Did she go to the bathroom and then come back through the entire bar to try and sneak by the guy she was with? If so, that is terrible planning. That's like not bringing anything to do on a 6-day trip bad.
He's gone. Because he murdered Alana and the other Guardians and almost killed my son, too.
I realize Olga meant well, but referring Debbie to a support group for spouses of dead superheroes was clearly a bad idea since her spouse is the reason most of them are there.
I didn't know who he was.
You should have.
She should have, and done what with that information? Get suplexed into the sun? See, Alan, Mark touches down on a planet and is completely asleep, as he should be. I'm not saying you deserve
Yeah, I came back at the right time. Oh, what the fuck? What the fuck? This motherfucker was flying. Oh, he's instantly getting reported. What the fuck? You're dead next, though. It's over for you. It's Jover. It's so Jover. You know, wherever that guy's name was, he's getting reported immediately. Yeah, no, I'm not that pay.
Die for not flying in a spaceship, but allegedly you are dead, so just saying.
Come. The Monarch wants to meet you at once.
Scene does not contain even one Venture brother.
Meteors? What meteors?
Called it. Also, Mark, did you spend 6 days with an alien and not even talk about the reason you were going to his planet?
Hello, son. It's been a while.
It has been, but considering the severe PTSD you've given your son, he probably sees you every night. Oh look, even more credits. At least these are at the end, so I can ignore them as credit Jesus intended. 50 seconds of previously ons. Show waits until episode 4 to get to where I wanted it to be at the start of episode 1. Doesn't the show realize I know what's best for me? Does Vilt or my facial hair grow in at different rates? That's a pretty full beard, so shouldn't his hair also be a lot longer? And in the mustache region, shouldn't he be rocking more of a Sam Elliott instead of a Tom Selleck? Yes, I do enjoy asking the important questions. The YouTubians would enslave our planet if we played the music, but you can 100% chalk up another melancholy song plays over conflicted hero from maximum drama to cliche. No. Bad Omni-Man. You don't go out slowly in a black hole after being evil. Didn't you watch The Eternals? That was a trick question. Nobody watched it. But if you had, you'd see bad guys have to fly into the sun after they've realized the errors of their actions. I can't decide if this is an Omni Ex Machina or a Deus Thrax Machina, but either way, there's some convenient as timing for all involved. Having more giant arches in your city than St. Louis. Come on, aliens. That's the city's one claim to fame. You're going to make St. Louis feel bad. They already lost their NFL team. Now you want to steal this away from them, too?
Won't you stay? Tell us your name. Where you come from?
Nolan, who was previously going to end his life, suddenly changes his mind after finding a new planet to worship him for his good deeds. See, this is exactly what Phoebe was talking about with Sesame Street. There are no unselfish good deeds.
They're actually need my help.
They do need your help.
Why?
It's complicated.
It will actually end up being incredibly not complicated, but this bullshit weed burying will continue for all of these some time because eons ago some genius decided it builds tension when in fact it just builds annoying.
Mark, look, I made a mistake.
No, a mistake is getting the wrong brand of ketchup, forgetting a birthday, or inviting Hawkeye to join the Avengers. Oh, I haven't done a Hawkeye jab in a while. Feels good.
I'll get you a ship home. But there's something you need to see first.
Are we still having this argument? I swear this entire opening scene is a you better come take a look at this cliche wrapped in a blanket of Skip rolling down a hill. Get the f*** on with it.
I didn't conquer the Thraxes. They asked me to be their emperor.
Britain, circa any time before World War I, and possibly after. Really, Bug Lady? Did she honestly think the best way to introduce herself to her new stepson who doesn't know she exists was by tonguing his dad?
My husband's told me so much about you.
What? Why would she open with my husband? Did Nolan prep her by saying, I want this to go as terribly as possible, so if we could do a tongue tango and then immediately address me as husband, that would be great. I really want to traumatize the shit out of him. It's the Earth way.
What's going on? Did I misspeak?
No, I think you mis-tongued.
I know this comes as a surprise.
I'm surprised. You're married to Mom.
Technically, he's widowered to your mom, Mark. Nolan is dead as far as the Earth is concerned. Not that I'm in any way condoning the extramarital mandibling here, of course.
You gotta be f***ing kidding me.
Wait, I thought the Invincible title was supposed to fit into the build-up and work as its own sentence, right? Because you gotta be invincible f***ing kidding me doesn't make any f***ing sense. We still can't play the tune, but this is the second melancholy song plays over melancholy character for maximum melancholyitude. And if we get a third, I may actually just play the damn thing and welcome that swift in from the YouTubenians. Coffee shops that are just called coffee.
20 years. And none of it was real. None of it. You weren't here.
For the first time, you know exactly who's the original and who's the inferior.
You're telling me you never thought to get an ear piercing before cloning yourself? Or a tattoo, jewelry, or even a different f***ing costume? How did the Maulers make the easy part of cloning the hard part? Don't f*** off with this. Everything else was vaporized in the explosion, including metal. You're not going to convince me that this tiny piece of plastic and glass survived, was missed by the cleanup crew, but then found so easily by... Who's this again?
You can show up, not show up, sleep in. It's like they're
treating us like adults. You know you're paying to be here, right?
This dialogue is brought to you by the Get Off My Lawn Guild of old men yelling at clouds. But also, kids.
It's super free. Like wearing pants with no underwear.
Comparing wasting a class you've spent thousands of dollars to attend to going commando. You can go commando for free, my dude. It doesn't cost a dime. Now, if your pants slip and fall while you're jogging in the park, that's going to cost you a few $100s in fines. My plea bargain dictates I cannot tell you how I know this.
The treehouse is like miles away. Do you need somewhere to crash?
Did Amber forget about Eve's ability to, well, everything?
You just replaced us. Except, you know, bugs.
Thing Ant said to Pixar in 1998 somehow makes it into the script.
We're only allowed to procreate with genetically similar species.
Well, isn't that oddly specific and amazingly convenient to the plot? Why would they allow any sort of interbreeding? Isn't their whole thing about being the master race?
By now, Viltrum knows I've left my post. They'll track me, and they'll find this planet.
But you knew that would happen when you decided to stay, become their monarch, and make a baby, right? You doomed all the people who are going to die later in this episode with your boner, Nolan, and I just can't forgive that. Doom boners are an unforgivable sin.
What I did on Earth was unforgivable.
You see, the problem with doing the pause and then dropping an invincible name card in almost every episode is I expect that for all dramatic pauses. So,
but then you're dumb as fuck!
An invincible title card. So here's a sin for not giving me that. Or for giving me a Pavlovian tendency to think that was coming. You can decide what the sin is for.
And now I'm asking you to help me save them. They're good people.
Am I the only one struggling to get on board with Nolan here? I know this is just the start of his redemptive arc, but why does he suddenly think that being a good person makes a difference? Did he not think humans were good people? Does he not think Debbie and Mark are good people?
No, that's not what he's saying at all. He's saying he should save them because they're good people.
How can he possibly hope to fight off an army of Viltrumites with just 2 Viltrumites? This is like bashing 2 rocks against 100 identical rocks and expecting the first 2 rocks to win. I had a very dull childhood.
No, it's too soon.
I agree. It is too soon. Mark's been here for what, 20 minutes? And the Viltrumites just showed up? Can you imagine if Mark had been delayed by 2 hours? He'd have arrived to find a massacred planet. We'd have missed out on all the family drama. And now I suddenly wish Mark had been delayed by 2 hours.
We'll be safe here.
They will not.
At first, it was hard to know him. He was so hurt,
so closed off after what happened on Earth.
If you think he was hurt after what happened on Earth, wait until I tell you about the people of, well, Earth. Also, I'd love to know how Nolan explained what happened on Earth in a way that didn't immediately repulse Andressa. I'm guessing it must have gone something like, yes, I was going to kill and/or enslave a planet called Earth, but you should have seen how many bugs they kill every day. They build entire industries on it. Honestly, they had it coming.
Nolan made another child?
Mark, I can understand, but why would he immediately assume Bug Boy is Nolan's as well? Do Viltrumites have DNA test vision? The slicey hand chop might be the superpower I understand the least out of any superhero franchise. If Nolan's nails or fingers can cut through even Viltrumite skin, why isn't this his opening move? Why would you ever throw a punch when you can just as easily serve up some slice and die?
Because it's harder to hit. Significantly harder to hit.
If you ask Hollywood, yes. Slamming your opponent into a wall instead of just surrounding him in a ball and cutting off all the oxygen until he passes out. Or turning him into a banana. Or literally anything that matter-converting powers will allow. And doing all that back on the base instead of in public. Come on, Eve, that bridge deserved better. Oh, and the civilians. Yeah, them. I guess we'll just straight up gloss over how Donald has Cecil's password. Why would we care about something like that? Also, this is entirely too much typing for the word Cecil.
I'm not supposed to feel this way. How is this better?
Look, redeeming Nolan in any meaningful way is going to be an uphill struggle, but somehow, watching him sincerely battle with and be confused by the notion that he can feel remorse and guilt is kind of convincing me that it might actually be possible. For now. Listen, I'm all for variety, especially when Viltrumite battles usually equate to flying, punching really hard, and surviving being punched really hard. But what the f is up with the stabby ponytail? Is the spike made out of her hair? Or is she accessorized with a blade that's able to hurt Viltrumite skin? And if it's the latter, shouldn't they have brought more of those to fight the mighty Nolan?
I never break my promises.
I'd be more inclined to believe you if I hadn't watched you leave Alan alive in the last episode.
If you're not trying to kill her, you're going to die.
This pep talk suddenly makes Mark a better fighter, because now his intent is to kill instead of disable? But I don't get it. He knows how strong Viltrumites are. Was he honestly worried about accidentally killing one of them if he used too much force? I feel like he could go absolute ham and still be several degrees of moral ambiguity away from having to deal with his conscience. Azula isn't blasting Mark with lightning in this scene. Just an entire buttload of, do any of these injuries even matter? Who cares? Because yay, punching things of gratuitous meaninglessness.
Don't worry. It's over.
Now, I'll bet you one intestine defying supersonic chiropractic adjustment it isn't, Captain Premature Celebration Man.
Next time you kill somebody, make sure they're dead.
To be fair to Nolan, the script made it look like you were really super dead. Like, super deceased. 100% not of this world. Absolute fatality. You were a former Viltrumite. Definitively moved to the past participle. Ceased to be... You get the idea. Also,
God damn, bro.
Who survives this long enough to get a sin.
Anyways, I do need to just restart my PC.